New leaked screenshots of chat conversations of the neo-Nazis that planned and organized the Charlottesville hate rally indicate that some of these marchers, not all, but some of them were planning on violence. Now, these are private chats that were done on a platform known as Discord, and someone had screenshotted them and shared them with the media. Now, those who are behind the rally in Charlottesville say that they appear to be authentic. However, they are reiterating that they did not support violence. In fact, they said over and over again they did not want people to engage in violence during that protest.
So let me be clear. That's what the organizers of the rally claim.
That's what they claim.
Right, but the screen captures are not necessarily the organizers, but people planning to attend the rally, this Unite the Right rally. So
in private chat channels, they shared advice on weaponry and tactics, including repeatedly broaching the idea of driving vehicles through opposition crowds. After the vehicular attack, which killed counterprotestor Heather Hayes, users of the channel actually celebrated the event. Now, there's no indication and there's no way of verifying that the man who ran through that crowd with his car was reading these chats or was involved in these chats. However, the fact that there were individuals who planned on using violence is notable, especially when you consider the type of dialogue that we're seeing among politicians right now in regard to the events that day. Now, hundreds of screenshots of the exchanges were released this week by Unicorn Riot, a left-wing activist group which said they were shared by an anonymous source. The records also included audio recordings of planning meetings. And another thing to keep in mind is after Heather Hayes lost her life,
Heather
Heyer lost her life, they made fun of it by making memes about it. So here's an example of that, also posted by Unicorn Riot. Attendees of Unite the Right in Charlottesville discuss legality of plowing into protesters with a vehicle this is less than a month before the rally. So this is just memes, broaching the topic. And then later on, they made memes making fun of what happened to Heather Heyer.
Okay, so by the way, we say there's no evidence that James Alex Fields had seen or participated in those. There's also no evidence that he didn't. So that doesn't mean you should hold him responsible for that, of course not, or hold these people responsible for what Fields did. But the jury's out on that, and there's going to be a case against them, and they might find out yet that he did see those things. So it is interesting, as we've told you all along, that fundamentalists are the same no matter what religion or political ideology that they have. They believe in violence. And so we saw the radical Islamic terrorists in Europe running over people with cars and reacted with horror. They saw that and thought, oh, that's a good idea. Right. So when we do our own hate rally, maybe we should run over protesters with our vehicles. And so that's how they flock together. So, and look, the radical Muslims are right-wingers in the Muslim world. They're not liberals, they're not reformers, they're not progressives. They believe in what they call their heritage, their culture. Does that sound familiar? They're fundamentalists and they believe in violence. And now the right-wing fundamentalists in this country have also adopted their specific tactics. And they encouraged it before the march, and now we know, of course, that is exactly what happened in the march. We don't yet know if that's a coincidence, or maybe Fields thought, hey, I'm a Nazi, and so like those Muslims that I hate, I say that I hate, I love what the radical Muslims do, I'm gonna do the same thing. So since they're all fundamentalists, they think alike. Or maybe they just encourage each other. Yeah, let's commit murder. Terrorism is awesome. And by the way, we hate Muslims because they're terrorists. A little ironic to say the least. Look, I don't know about legal action about the people who posted memes. I don't. So let's leave that aside. Even if Fields was in the room, in those chat rooms, even if he saw it, even if it encouraged them, I'm not sure that you should hold those people responsible legally for posting memes or speaking out there. Again, there's the issue of inciting violence. But for the moment being, I think the most important thing is this is who they are. So we can certainly condemn them in the sphere of public opinion. That this is not, oh golly gee, we never thought about this, and somebody just happened to run over the counter-protesters. No, it's something you contemplated, or some of you contemplated. That's who you are. Help us build independent media together. TYTnetwork.com/join.